Good morning. For today's, we are going to tackle The Sense of Apples by Bienvenido Santos. So, who is Bienvenido Santos? Bienvenido Santos is a Filipino-American fiction poetry and nonfiction writer. He was born and raised in Tondo, Manila. He lived in the United States for many years, where he is widely credited as a pioneering Asian American writer. He was born on March 22, 1911, in Tondo and died on January 7, 1996 in Legazpi City. Besides The Sense of Apple and A Praying Man, Santos authored the story collection You Lovely People and The Day the Dancer Came. His first two novels, Villa Magdalena and The Volcano, were published in the Philippines in 1965. Santos became an American citizen in 1976. In 1941, he became a pensionado or scholar at the University of Illinois, Columbia University, and Harvard University. Here are some of Bienvenido Santos' achievements. Fellowship at the Writers' Workshop of the University of Iowa, University of Iowa's Fulbright Exchange Professor, Guggenheim Foundation Fellowship, a Republic Cultural Heritage Award in Literature, several Palanca Awards, American Book Awards from the Before Columbus Foundation of his Scent of Apples, honorary, honorary doctorate degrees in humanities and letters from the University of Philippines and Bicol University, honorary doctorate degree in humane letters from Wichita State University, where served as a professor of creative writing and distinguished writer.
So here's the summary of Scent of Apples. Scent of Apples, November when I arrived at Kalamazoo and the war is still on. I stayed at a hotel with a man burning leaves and a gray-haired woman sitting on the porch watching the smoke from the leaves rise above the elms. Both of them thinking about a tall boy, blue-eyed with a long hair who went to war. It was a freezing night when I leave my hotel room. Walk a little bit when a heavy wind caught my attention. Turns out that the wind came from the lake Michigan that's frozen. As I walk further, I noticed that the leaves on the road have not taken any attention from the people because there's so many leaves laying beneath the lamppost. In the same night, I met Celestino Fabia, a Filipino farmer who have a farm 30 miles east of Kalamazoo. Later, than, later that night, Celestino attended a forum that intended for me to talk about my country. In the open forum, they asked Celestino if there were any difference about women and American women. I really tried to answer as much as I can, knowing that I don't know many American women, but I tell them that they have the same heart and mind. As I was explaining, a man rose from the rear of the hall wanting to say something. He looked old, with brown skin. Before he spoke, I knew that he was like me, a Filipino. I'm a Filipino, he shouted. Turns out to be a farmer out in the country and left Philippines more than 20 years ago and never been back. Are Filipino women the same like they were 20 years ago? Says the man as he sits down. I weighed my answer carefully because I don't want the man to be so unhappy. I said what our women were like 20 years ago. The man stood to answer. Yes, our women were nice, modest, long hair, properly dressed, and go to church regularly. I answered the woman changed only on the inside. Inside here, pointing to the heart, they are still God-fearing, faithful, modest, and nice. The man was stunned, then say, I'm happy, sir. After what happened that night, I walked outside. As I walked outside, he gave me his name and told me of his farm 30 miles away east of the city. He invited me to his house for dinner, wondering if I was going to come because his wife haven't seen a Filipino since they moved. As a good man, I humbly says yes. The next day, he came about 3 in the afternoon. It was a sunny afternoon and was not too cold. He was wearing a brown tweed jacket, worsted trouser, and a polished shoe. He looked younger than he appears that night before now. As he led Ruth to his car, he said, "I'm bringing you a high-class Filipino." He even said it to his son Roger. It was a rugged road we were traveling, and the car made so much noise. I couldn't hear a word he said, but I understood him. He was telling about his experience through the years. Remembering his own youth, he was thinking of home. In this Visaya town is our house. It's the biggest in town. The house stood as one of the oldest. Ours was a big family. The house stood right at the edge of the street. Such nights, they are no better than the days. Mother sits at the corner looking white and sick. Father was different, he shouts, rants, and lived in the past and talked of honor. I grew up there into a pampered brat. One day I broke their heart. I saw mother cry wordlessly as father heaped his curses upon me and drove me out of the house. As we approached, a dog barked. A fat blonde woman stood at the door with a little boy beside her.
Roger was scrubbed. He hardly took his eyes off me. He shook my hands in sincere delight. I noticed shamefacedly that her hands are rough. How coarse her hair was, and how ugly. She was no longer young, and her smile was pathetic. As we stepped inside the door, I was immediately aware of the familiar scent of apples. The room was bare except for a few ancient pieces of second-hand furniture. In the middle stood a stove to keep the family warm in the winter. Ruth became busy with the drink. She kept coming in and out of the room that must have been the kitchen, and soon the table was heavy with food, fried chicken and rice, green peas and corn on the ear. Even as we ate, Ruth kept standing and going to the kitchen to get some food. Roger ate like a gentleman. "You are a handsome boy, Roger," I said. Afterwards, I noticed an old picture leaning on the top of the dresser and stood to pick it up. A faded picture of a woman in the Philippine dress could yet be distinguished, although the face had become blur. "I don't know who is she," says Fabia. "I picked the picture a long time ago in the room on LaSalle Street in Chicago." The face wasn't a blur in the beginning. It was a young face and good. Ruth became with a plate of apples. I tried picking up a ripe one. I've been thinking where all the scents of apple came from. The room was full of it. "I'll show you," says Fabia. He showed me a back room, not very big. It was half full of apples. "Every day," he explained, "I take some of them to the groceries. Prices have been low. I've been losing to the trips." "Those apples will spoil," I said. "We'll feed them to the pigs." Then he showed me around the farm. It was twilight now, and the apples stood against the western glowing sky. In apple blossom time, it was be the lovely here. But what about winter time? One day, according to Fabia, before Roger was born, he had attacked an acute appendicitis. It was deep winter. Ruth was pregnant and not too well herself. At first, she did not know what to do. She bundled him with a warm clothing and put him on a coat near the stove, shoved the snow from their front door, and practically carried the suffering man on her shoulder, dragging him to the newly made path towards the road. When they waited for the U.S. mail car to pass, snowflakes poured all over them while she keeps rubbing the man's arm and legs as she herself nearly froze to death. "Go back to the house of Ruth," his husband cried. "You'll freeze to death." But she clung to himself wordlessly. "I won't leave you. I won't leave you," she repeatedly. Finally, the U.S. mail car arrived. The mailman who knew them well helped them to board the car. The mailman took the sick man direct to the the nearest hospital. Ruth stayed at the hospital with Fabia. She slept outside the corridor and in the daytime helped in scrubbing the floor and washing the dishes and cleaning the men things. They don't have enough money and Ruth was willing to work like a slave. As soon as we were on our way back to town, the dog was started barking. We could hear it from some time until finally we could not hear it anymore, and all was darkness around us, except where the headlamps revealed a stretch of roads leading somewhere. I didn't seem to have anything to say myself, but when I finally we came to the hotel and I got down, Fabia said, "Well, I guess I won't be seeing you again." Without getting off the car, he moved to where I had sat and I saw him extend his hand. I gripped it. "Tell Ruth and Roger," I said. "I love them." Then we said goodbyes.
So ayon po dun sa kwento, nagpunta siya sa US tapos nakilala niya dun si Celestino Fabia. Inimbitahan siya na maging speaker sa open forum. Nung andun na siya sa open forum, ang topic nila ay about sa pagkakaiba-iba ng mga babae sa Pilipinas at babae sa Amerika. Kasi isa siyang Pilipino at gusto malaman ng mga Amerikano kung may pagkakaiba ba. May sumagot sa kanya na isang lalaki ang nagkaroon sila ng sagutan. Pagkatapos nung conference ay lumabas na agad siya, doon niya nakita yung lalaki na nakasagutan niya. Nagpakilala sa kanya yung lalaki bilang Celestino Fabia. Sinabi din ito na meron siyang farm 30 miles away papunta sa east. Ang lalaki na ito ay si Celestino Fabia. Inimbitahan ni Celestino sa kanilang bahay para makita ang asawa niya na di pa nakakakita ng kapwa Pilipino simula na lumipat sila ng Amerika. Sa madaling salita ay pumayag siya. Nagpunta sila sa bahay ni Celestino at andun ang asawa niya at anak na si Ruth at Roger. Naging maayos naman ang pag-welcome nila sa kanya pero napansin niya na magulo ang bahay at parang pagod sa trabaho si Ruth. Nung oras na ng pagkain ay abala si Ruth sa pagluluto at hindi nawawala ng pagkain sa lamesa pero napapansin niya si Celestino na walang ginagawa. Nung matapos na sila sa pagkain, ay naglabas si Celestino ng plato na punong-puno ng mansanas. Natanong niya kung saan nanggagaling ang mabango at maaroma na amoy ng mansanas. Sinama siya ni Celestino sa isang kwarto at kalahati ng laman ay mansanas. Nakita na yon at napasabi na, "Di ba mabubulok din lahat yan?" Pero ang sagot sa kanya ay yung iba ay dinadala ni Celestino sa palengke para ibenta pero mababa na ang bentahan ng mga mansanas kaya nalulugi lang si Celestino sa pagbab pagbabiyahe kasi nga 30 miles pa ang layo ng bahay nila hanggang syudad. Nagkwentuhan sila at lumabas ng bahay. Nung mga oras na yon ay taglagas pa kaya napansin niya na namamatay ang mga puno at ng mansanas pero nabanggit niya na pag siguro tagmansanas ay napakaganda ng lugar na yon. Biglang nagkwento si Celestino sa nangyari nung araw na tagyelo sa kanilang lugar. Hindi pa nakakaanak si Ruth at nasa tiyan pa lamang si Roger. Inatake siya na acute appendicitis at ang maaari lang makatulong sa kanya ay ang kabiyang buntis na asawa. Hinayaan ni Ruth ang yelo sa harap ng bahay nila hanggang kalsada. Tapos, inakay niya ang kanyang asawa at nag-antay ng magde-deliver ng mail. Nung dumaan ang taga-deliver, ay nakisakay sila at nagpadiretso ng ospital. Binantayan ni Ruth ang kanyang asawa hanggang makalabas ito. Pinagsisilbihan niya ang kanyang asawa hanggang ngayon ay may anak na sila. Natapos ang araw at nagpaalam sila sa isa't isa. Inihatid ni Celestino ang lalaki sa syudad para makabalik sa kanyang hotel. Nagpaalam sila sa isa't isa at umalis. At yun po ang pinakabuod ng Scent of Apples by Bienvenido Santos. Thank you.